Pardon me. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Donna Abrahams, the Metal Medium. Today I thought we would talk about what life is like as a psychic. The good, the bad and the ugly. Now I was sitting here this morning and writing, obviously taking notes if you know what I mean. And first off, I've been doing this as a profession full-time for 20 years. So I think I know my stuff and what I'm talking about, and I'm going to be using some of my experiences, of course. But hopefully it helps some of you out there who are thinking of, doing this as a profession. So the sad thing here is obviously I'd start with the good. I shit you not, I've got 2 lines. And then we get to the bad and I've filled a whole friggin' page. So there you go. All right. First off, I thought we'd start with the good. Now, obviously that is helping people, bringing closure. And I'm going to have to say it's never a boring job. Like, yeah, and you do meet a lot of interesting people with it and all that. So this is pretty hard trying to think of the good stuff, but yeah, you can meet people that will really, they can't thank you enough, if you know what I mean. And then we'll get to the bad, and obviously that's the opposite. So yeah, but yeah, no. I'll have to say, over my 20-year career, it has never been boring. And I'm also going to say, too, that when I do readings, I go into a trance. So I never actually remember what I'm telling you. Occasionally, I'll remember little bits and pieces, and it's almost like you will remember the bad more than what you would the good. It's, like childhood, you tend to have more bad memories than what you do good ones, if that makes sense. So, yeah. So getting back to the good, yeah, the helping people, again, meeting new people, like-minded people, that type of thing. Now, the bad. Okay, right. Now, you can cop a lot of abuse doing this line of work, and I mean a lot. You can get blamed a lot as well. Look, I've had death threats, and that's being honest. I have copped a lot of abuse where they have called me every name under the sun, that type of thing. Now, I'm going to say, obviously, whenever I do a reading, it is, sorry, I've got my pen here, it is free will. So I'm just a microphone, okay? I just tune into the spirit world. They're the ones that pass on the messages. It is up to you what you choose to do with the information, obviously. And obviously, if you don't take the information from spirit, then things aren't going to turn out the way that I have told you they will. So that is where you can cop a lot of abuse, because free will comes into it. Now, I'm just going to use an example here. I did a phone reading and thought it all went well and whatever. Probably about 3 days later, she sent me an email. And, oh my God, she called me every name under the sun. You effing fraud. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should go to jail. You're charging people. You're full of shit. All this. And I'm like, oh my God. And the sad thing is I couldn't even remember what I'd friggin' told her. So anyway, I emailed back and I said, look, I'm sorry, you weren't happy with your reading. I'm more than happy to give you a free 15-minute phone reading and we can, figure it out. And she replied, no, don't bother, wasting my time again, yada, yada. You told me I was, pardon me, you told me I was going to get a promotion through work. And I thought, oh, shit. And obviously she didn't get it. So I emailed back again and I said, well, I'm, sorry about that. I presume you put in for it and everything like that and went, through the proper channels. And she wrote back, no, I didn't apply for it because you told me I was going to get it. And I'm thinking, okay, so, do you know what I mean? That is a case of free will. I told her, right, you're going to get a promotion at work. So obviously if the opportunity comes up for you to apply and put in for it and whatever, she would have got the job. But her exact words were, you told me I was going to get it, so I didn't bother applying. So I just wrote back, don't you think it would have helped if you had have applied? And I never heard anything back. So there you go. So that is, yeah, quite a bad experience there. Also, too, how can I put it? You'll get regular clients. And that's okay. Again, I don't hardly remember what I tell them, if you know what I mean. But some people out there, they want to become your best friend. Okay, now I'm going to be brutally honest here. I have befriended quite a lot of people over the years, and it 99.9% of the time it ends in tears on my behalf because they can't. How can I put it? They don't see me as two people, if that makes sense. They don't see Donna as a person who loves her medal, do you know what I mean? Who loves living in nature, who loves animals and adopts them and rescues them and whatever. Um, they don't see that person. All they see is Donna the psychic. And what can Donna the psychic do for me? Do you know what I mean? And I've been sitting there having you come over for a coffee or cuppa or whatever. Hey, do you mind if I just ask you one question? And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm a friend and yada yada and whatever. But it gets to the stage, and it has with me. Look, I've had 15-year friendships where I have helped them build the life that they want, that they desire. And at the end of it, I'm discarded. I'm thrown away like a bag of shit. And that's being honest. And it hurts me because I'm very sensitive. And you'll probably find too that the majority of people that are drawn into doing this line of work have had a pretty shitty life. Everything's been a struggle. And look, I've had one of the worst sorry, I'm not allowed to swear, one of the worst lives you could imagine. Everything I've had it done to me, if you know what I mean. But I realise now why it all had to happen. And that obviously is because I have done the work experience. So when I say to you, because I have lost my only child, I couldn't have any more, I know how you feel. And that is me saying, yes, I do know how you feel, because I mean it, because I've been there and I've done that. Abuse, I've copped it, everything, physical, sexual, mental, everything, emotional. And again, and you'll probably find that because you've been that, you will attract a lot of people that have actually been through that too. And that's a big part of me. And, normally people doing this work will have a beautiful heart and a beautiful soul. So part of it is, oh, but that they're like me. Do you know what I mean? I feel a connection and everything like that. Look, I'm not saying that it can't happen. I've, still got a couple of close friends that have started off as clients because they now know the boundaries, if you know what I mean. If they want a reading, they go through the proper channels and they book it and they pay for it. And I think that's fair enough. It's the same as having a girlfriend that's a hairdresser. How do you think she'd feel if the only time you go and see her is when you want a haircut and you don't pay? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think you know where I'm coming from there. So just be careful in that respect if you are going to befriend a client. Okay. Stalkers. You can get stalkers, and that is being honest. I've had quite a few in my day, and it gets to the stage where you've got to block them. You just have to. You really need to realize that, how can I put it, there is a saying, be kind but take no shit. That is what you really have to live by doing this line of work. You really do. Because people will want to take and take and take and take and take. So that's something that, again, you need to be prepared for there. Another case of free will. I had a client that used to come and see me every 6 months or so for a face-to-face reading. She came back for an annually 6-month reading, and she's like, oh wow, Donna, everything you said has happened apart from one thing. And I'm like, don't tell me, we'll look into it in your reading. And she said, you said that I was going to get married. I did. You said we were going to build a house. We did. What hasn't happened is I haven't fallen pregnant yet. So I remember, looking into that and thinking, and I kept picking up, there's a block. And I'm like, you sure you're doing the deed? Do you know what I mean? As much as you possibly can. And she's like, yeah, no, we're doing it twice a week, and I'm taking my temperature and shit like that. And I'm like, well, I just couldn't pick up what this block was. And I was really struggling, thinking, what is it? And in the end, she said, I'm on the pill. And I was like, sorry? She said, oh, no, I'm still on the pill. And I'm like, why? oh, because you told me I was going to be pregnant and everything else you'd said has happened, you know. And I'm like, again, don't you think going off the pill would actually help you fall pregnant? Oh, yeah, I suppose I could try that. And then she went off, it came back and saw me in 6 months, and sure enough, she was pregnant. And then came, oh my God, and I'm like, well, okay, you've got your perfect life now. You've got your wonderful husband. You've got your bloody mansion by the beach. You know, you've got the baby on the way. What is the issue here? And she said, I want you to tell me who the father is. And I'm sitting there thinking, you've got to be freaking kidding me. And I kept seeing the numeral 5. And I'm like, I'm thinking, please, 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 no. And I blurted out, I said, why am I saying the numeral 5? She said, because I've got a choice of 5 fathers. And I'm like, oh my God. So, yeah, that is another, anyway, I didn't see her anymore after that. I just kept fobbing her off and saying, sorry, I'm busy, you know, and eventually she got the hint. So, yeah, sometimes you have to do that as well. You have to, if people are getting a little bit too needy, sometimes you do have to take a step back, and you do have to stand up and use your voice, as hard as it might be. So, yeah. But, look, again, another bad is, you know, you're always drained. You can get very upset. You can get out of balance. You can just feel like shit. Look, and again, a lot of people think I'm a millionaire because, you know, like I might charge, you know, $150 for a face-to-face reading or $140 for a phone reading. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I can do friggin' 200 a week. I wish I could, trust me. And the older I get, the less I can do as well, because I've got the fibromyalgia and everything like that. So from going from, you know, 6 a day down to 2, and that's it. That's my maximum. A lot of people think too that, you know, but she's not, there's no outlay there. You know, it's not like she's a builder and, you know, when she comes to quote me kitchen and whatever, it's like she's only using her voice. That's all it is. But they don't realize the amount of energy that you've got to put into it, especially if you are a medium, because you are working with spirits, you're working with energies, if that makes sense. So that makes it, yeah, that is why you will get so drained. But obviously there's things there that you can do to help that, get outside and ground yourself, you know, do the dragon's blood, the smudging, you know, everything like that, white light yourself. It can help, but it still will affect you, if that makes sense. People will take and take and take and take and take. I remember when I first started, obviously, you know, I was only charging like $20 for a face-to-face reading, and going back 20 years. And I was going for 2 hours. And I was like, bloody hell, you know, and they're good value, and they're sending all their mates around and whatever. But then I thought, no, this has got to stop. I've got to put a time limit on it. And now I actually have one of them. I should have brought it out with me. I was going to, I forgot. One of them little egg timers. So I set it for 30 minutes for face-to-face. Once it goes off, that's it. I will come out of my trance and the connection is severed. And I'll say, oh, I hope all that made sense. So that's my way of saying, that's it. The reading's finished. So, yeah, pay me for my services and be on your way, if you know what I mean. With phone readings, I use old school. I use the cordless landline, so I've got a timer on it. I can look down at that, because other people, you can be on the phone for hours. Oh, just one more question, just one more question, just one more question. And again, when I first started, I'm like, okay, I have to do this. They're paying me, so they've got to get their money's worth. Do you know what I mean? But obviously doing it again over the years, realizing how it's made me feel and everything like that, you know, I've had to put a stop on that. And again, what I do is with a phone reading, pardon me, is I'll look down, okay, because I do 15-minute ones, phone readings as well. And I'll say, okay, time's up. I hope all that made sense. Oh, I've just got one more question. If it's a quick question, and, you know, I'll go 5 minutes over. That's it. And, yeah, any more than that, I'll say, sorry, I've got another one booked, which chances are I could have, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, it kind of sort of gets hard to, again, because you think, I've got to be a good person. I've got to be a good person. Again, you know, be kind, but take no shit. And that is being honest. I do prefer phone readings to face-to-face readings. because that way, you know, I can do them in my pajamas, and that is being honest. I go out into my little reading room and I do them out there. And not only that, they because you will get some doozies of clients, like fair income, you will. And yeah, I do the eye roll, I do everything and mutter under my breath. So that's why I prefer phone readings. So yeah, but obviously with the face-to-face, you've got to, try and stop all that. Now, again, like being an empath as well, you know, I tune into their energies. If they're wanting to contact a spirit, I tune into their energies. And again, it can really like knock you around. So yeah, especially if it's like a suicide or something like that. And I'm going to get into this in the medium. I'm going to do a subject on medium, life as a medium, the good, the bad, the ugly on that as well. So I'll leave that for there. But yeah, look, some people don't want to listen. They don't. They just want to hear what they want to hear. And again, half the time I don't even remember what shit is coming out. And if they don't want to hear it, they'll get the shits. Look, I'm not a negative reader. I don't predict passings. Look, and I've been asked that many times, when such and such going to pass, and I'll say, no, I'm sorry. I will only do that if they are terminal and they've been given a time frame, if that makes sense. That is the only time I will do that or look into that. So, yeah, they think I have a magic wand. Wait, Donna, wave your magic wand, and you know, I don't want to put the effort in. How I do a reading is I use my crystal bracelets, and I've got 7 different colors. Each one represents one of your chakras, and I zoom in and I'll give each one a literal meaning. For, you know, example, if they pick the pink one, it's a rose quartz. It represents the heart chakra, telling me straight away they do need to do healing around that area. And also, you know, I've given it meaning of relationships as well. So I will look into that. And that is usually your block. It's like, you know, the domino effect. I see dominoes set up. You know, the first one's there and the next one might be there. Get the block, remove the block, and then bang, they'll all fall into place. Some people don't want to put in the effort. They don't. They just want me to say, yep, it's going to be okay. You know, it's going to work. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and everything's going to have worked itself out overnight. You know, I friggin' wish. You know, and I even wish for me, if that makes sense. But yeah, the majority of the time you've got to put the effort in. You've got to be the one that, you know, makes the changes, or you've got to want to have, you know, to make changes, if that makes sense. So I'm going to get into the ugly, and the ugly is how you can be treated. Like the way I've been spoken to and used and abused and discarded, and yeah, and it really does hurt me. You know, you think after 20 years, surely she's built up a resistance to it, to a certain extent, yes. But again, going back to, I've lost 2 really good friends over the last 3 years. They were both very long, you know, we're talking, one was a 15-year relationship, one was a 7. And again, I'd given them advice and whatever, they hadn't listened, or, you know, the first one took advantage of me, I gave her the dream life, set her up, whatever, then bang, she dumped me. She discarded me. I wasn't needed anymore, if that makes sense. So again, if you're going to get into this line of work, and again, you do befriend someone, you know, which you can do out of this, I would seriously think about this and say, look, you know, I've got a policy where I don't read family and friends, which I don't either now. So I consider you as a friend, so I'm not going to read you anymore. And that's what happened with the 15-year one. That's what I ended up saying to her. And I got dumped like a bag of shit, and that's being honest. So, but at least I knew where I stood, but it hurt. And yeah, the second one is, yeah, accused me for ruining their life because I was passing on the information and whichever, and they weren't taking it. So there you go. So that's my fault. So you will get a lot of blame out of it as well. So I hope all that resonated with some of you. And again,